All right, we are live. Welcome, everyone. I'm Jillian Graber, Executive Director of Protect PT, and we have today our staff members here that work super hard every single day to make sure that all the projects and programs that we do here at Protect PT get implemented properly and that we can serve the community the best way we can. And so I want to go ahead around really quickly and just introduce everybody. So if you wouldn't mind saying your name and maybe how long you've been at Protect PT, as well as what your title is and kind of, what your main duties are here. So I'll go ahead and start with Shayna. Hi, Shayna.
All right, hi everyone. My name is Shayna Nicasio. I've been at Protect PT since about the middle of this past summer, and I am the Sustainability Program Specialist for the Reimagine Turtle Creek Watershed and Airshed Communities Plus initiative.
All right, thank you. All right, and next we have Jenna.
Hi, y'all. My name is Jenna Rindy. I am the staff environmental scientist for Protect PT, and I have been with the organization for about 6 months.
All right, and last but not least, Jim.
I am Jim Cirilano, and I am the community advocate here at Protect PT, and I've been here since December of last year, so it's going to be a year pretty soon. And I do mostly the kind of legal analysis type stuff. So that's it.
All right, yeah, and on tech, you can't see him, but he's one of the newest members of our team. Corey is on tech, and he is our communications manager, and he's going to be helping to make sure that everyone is able to see everything, hear about new initiatives, and make sure that everybody gets the information that they need. So today is a special day because it's Giving Tuesday. And so with Giving Tuesday, we wanted to bring you a little bit of the work that we do and talk about the stuff that we've been working on this past year. And a lot of this stuff is multi-year things that we've been doing. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And you'll have an opportunity also to ask questions. So go ahead and put your questions in the chat if you have questions for us, and we'll make sure that those get answered. I'm going to just go ahead and click this into, so this is what will happen. Your question will come up on the screen here, and yeah, we can go ahead and get started. Go ahead to the next screen, Corey. All right, so this is our engagement model. So this is what we do every day with Protect PT. We work to educate members of the community. We work to legally empower folks to take action on things that and get their legal power back from industries. And we also do things like monitoring air, water, and noise. So we're going to talk about all these things, but we are a grassroots nonprofit. And so we're here to ensure the safety, security, and quality of life for folks in Westmoreland and Allegheny counties. We do that by doing these three things: educating, empowering, and monitoring. That allows us to go forward with our mission as an organization. So go ahead to the next screen. All right, and the first thing we're going to talk about is the PT ordinance that we've been working on. So Jim, take it away.
So one of the thing that governs what can be done in any local municipality is the zoning ordinance. Zoning ordinances tell us things like where we can build factories, where we can have retail establishments, and what areas are dedicated to places, things like um, uh, residential areas. And when you think about it, it makes sense because you don't want to put your house in a place where someone is likely to build a junkyard next to you. So zoning regulates that, and it protects the values of people's property so that they can plan their lives invest their money and feel secure that they won't have something thrust upon them that is hazardous and that would lower the value of their property. And so the thing that we are talking about specifically is oil and gas development. And oil and gas development is a heavy industrial use, meaning that it is not even like a shoe shop or a retail establishment. It is something that is akin to a steel mill or an electric power plant. It is a very large, very noisy, very toxic area where drilling takes place, oftentimes 24 hours a day, and toxic wastes are used and developed both in the form of the water that's injected into the wells during fracking and the produced water that comes out of it. And obviously, this is not something that you want next to your home for a lot of reasons. One, it's dangerous. Number two, when something like this goes in next to your home, the value of your property goes down, the property value as a residence, because nobody will want to buy your house if you are in very close proximity to an oil and gas well. And so what we are doing here in Penn Township is revamping the ordinance in a lot of ways that will give residents in Penn Township more protection for their homes, for the value of their property, and also for their safety as residents. Some of the things that we're putting into the new ordinance are requirements that the oil and gas company carry liability insurance. Right now, they're not required to carry liability insurance. So if there is an explosion and it destroys your home, you may have nowhere else to look but your own homeowner's insurance. If there is a toxic waste spill and people are injured or people are sickened, they may not have liability insurance. This is one of the things that we're asking them to do. Another thing that we're asking for is that they bond these oil companies. So when the gas is gone, there's a fund of money, basically an insurance company, there to clean the place up. We're asking for greater setbacks. Right now, an oil and gas company can build this well within 600 feet of your home. 600 feet is like 2 football fields, and the size of these developments are oftentimes 3 or 4 acres large. And just to give you an idea of it, there's a picture there. What you're seeing in the very small dots in the upper right-hand corner are trucks. So that gives you an idea of the scale, and this could be built within 600 feet of your home currently. That's awfully close. We're asking for setbacks of a minimum of 2,500 feet. We're also asking for additional regulations concerning how trucks can be brought on the roadways, how much noise can be produced and how they have to buffer that noise, what can be done regarding the lights, the lighting that they're using at all hours of the night through the night. So all of these things are very important protections, and those are all in the new ordinance. What we're doing right now is we're lobbying the the municipality, that's Penn Township, to enact this ordinance to protect you, the people of Penn Township, and your property values. So that's pretty much what that ordinance is about. That's an overview. It's a longer document. It's about 25 pages, but generally speaking, that's what it does.
Great. Yeah. And when Jim says lobbying, we, as a 501c3, we can do only so much of this. So this is why we need residents to get involved, and we need residents to contact their local elected officials here in Penn Township. We've done all the work for them. They just need to enact these protections because, not only will it help the elected officials because they're fiscally responsible for the residents for the township, but it will also help the residents as well because in the long run they won't they won't be picking up the tab for this degrading infrastructure as it degrades throughout the years. This is actually right in the center. This is a picture of the Metis well pad from the sky. So you can see what a large well pad this is. I will say too, there's a lot to do with this ordinance, and if you have questions, you can contact Jim. He helped to write the ordinance. And we've got a question from the audience. Would Protect BT ever consider having a zoning specialist, like someone who was a zoning officer or official, on a future lunch and learn, or is that too nerdy? I don't think that's too nerdy. I think that's a good idea. Actually, when we were challenging the Penn Township ordinance several years ago, we brought in an expert from the University of Pennsylvania, and he talked about how important zoning is with all those things that Jim was just talking about. So go ahead to the next screen, Corey. Thank you for that question, Lois. All right. And we were also working on the other legal advocacy, right? Because you're a busy guy, Jim. You do a lot for the organization and for the people that we serve. So tell us a little bit about some of the other legal advocacy work that you're doing.
So whenever an oil and gas company seeks to put an installation into a municipality, generally speaking, the municipality, either the commissioners or the governing the board has to have a hearing. It's done before the commissioners or before the zoning hearing board or before whatever governing body that municipality has. And they're called different things, but they're basically the same thing. Different municipalities are boroughs, towns, townships, etc. But they're all governed by a board, and they all have zoning hearing boards, or they otherwise have the hearings conducted by the commissioners themselves. And so the thing about oil and gas is it's not just about well pads. There are also injection wells. There are also pipelines. There's also other sorts of infrastructure that is necessary in order for this industry to do the industrial work that it needs to do in order to develop these kinds of resources. And they are all very, very heavy industrial things: pipelines, injection wells, and they're all dealing with very dangerous chemicals. So here in Penn Township, we recently completed a hearing for another well pad that's within 1/2 mile, actually, of an existing well pad, and that is the Aphrodite well pad. That is right next to the Poseidon well pad. So there's two of these industrial facilities right next to each other, and the effects, believe me, are cumulative. They are not individual. We also are opposing the development of the Plum injection well and the permitting of a new waste transfer station. We've appealed this to the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania, and we're actively opposing that facility right now. An injection well is a facility that takes an existing conventional well. It takes all of the wastewater from and the produced water from existing gas wells that has PFAS and PFOA chemicals, radioactive chemicals, lots and lots of very dangerous things, and they've got to do something with it. And what has been determined to be a feasible way to dispose of this is to pump it into the ground at high pressure through existing conventional wells. Now, of course, the danger is if one of these well casings breaks, then people's groundwater is contaminated and likely contaminated forever. So people who depend on well water are basically out of luck. The companies will give them water buffaloes for a period of time, but that's really no way to live, I don't think. Likewise, we are opposing the Lions Run and the Level Green pipeline as these go through really residential areas, through literally through people's backyards. And these pipelines, the industry says, are necessary in order to transport the gas that they're getting from these industrial facilities that they're locating in residential areas. Now, if you have a gas well in a residential area, you're necessarily going to have a pipeline in a residential area. And that's the whole problem. We're not against oil and gas development per se. We just don't want it near people. Next slide.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a really good point, Jim. And, so we want to make sure that people are safe. And, this process is really fraught with a lot of issues. Everything from, human error that could happen on the pad to emergencies that could happen. And so there's a lot of information that we can provide, which we'll talk a little bit about later. We're going to talk a little bit about the injection well stuff we're doing. This slide expands a little bit on the Level Green pipeline. So not only is Protect PT about PT, Penn Trafford, but we also work in other communities like Murraysville. And so this particular pipeline that connects the Draculic well pad, you can see that little dot on kind of the middle of your screen. The pipeline goes through the neighborhoods in Level Green and then connects with this Lions Run pipeline in Murraysville. And so this is one long pipeline, really, but it's split into two different sections. And so as we were going along, one of the things that we do is we look for new permits that come up through the DEP. That's how we knew about this. And you can learn how to do that as well. That's actually a really good process for residents to get involved with to make sure that they know what's going on in their neighborhood. And then we also got the files from DEP. So that's how we were able to make this map, where we had the files from DEP that showed us exactly where the pipeline was. And with those files, we have folks like Jenna, our environmental scientist, who can look over those files and look for things that really stand out to us with regard to some of the issues that could happen with the pipeline. So Jenna, when you were looking over the files, I know that there were a couple things that you mentioned. And do you want to talk a little bit about a couple of those things that were concerning to you?
Yeah, I think the main concern with the process that is being proposed here is what is called horizontal directional drilling, or HDD. And when the development companies are drilling for oil and gas, what happens in HDD is that they drill vertically into the ground and also then horizontally. And that can cause a lot of issues, including pollutants coming back up from underneath the ground. And that has potential to contaminate groundwater. So this form of drilling, although seems useful for the drilling companies themselves, actually has potential to harm the waterways more so than conventional drilling. So that form of drilling is what we're particularly worried about here, in addition to the ways in which the companies are going about asking for rights to the land, and potential wetlands that are going to be destroyed in the process of this drilling. So especially with this form of HDD, the wetlands that are being destroyed or harmed in some way, those are the areas that we're particularly worried about here environmentally.
Yeah, and when we did a presentation, I think that was in July, actually, Jenna, I thought you did a really good job of describing why these wetlands are so important to our ecosystem. Do you mind just talking briefly about why that's important? Why are wetlands important to us?
Sure. So wetlands especially in Western PA, what they do is they house vegetation and particular forms of organisms that are excellent at cleaning the water. So those forms of vegetation can actually remove pollutants from water systems, and clean up a lot of the issues that we see in Western PA, such as acid mine drainage. So any form of acidic water that is coming from those abandoned mines in our area, wetlands are actually really beneficial in removing those pollutants from the water system. So if we are actively harming wetlands in our area, then we are decreasing the potential for the wetlands to be naturally cleaning our water systems.
Yeah, and we have a question in the chat. It says, do you think it's possible that labs like Penn State Extension, who test soil for gardeners, could get grants to test soil for fracking related chemicals? I don't know if I can answer that question. I don't know if I have an answer to that question. I think that if folks wanted to reach out to Penn State Extension, there are some folks that have been doing some really good work at Penn State Extension to give resources to local folks. But I think that the true problem here is, like Jenna was saying, like these wetlands are going to be destroyed, and they're a good, really important process of taking pollutants out of the environment, but then we're also going to be putting more pollutants into the environment at the same time as the well pad is built, drilled, and fracked. So it's kind of a double whammy if you think about it. So just one of the reasons why it's important to protect people and the environment, because we live in these spaces. In particular, in Level Green here, we've got a really wonderful resource to recreate. We have the Westmoreland Heritage Trail right along Turtle Creek, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Reimagine Turtle Creek initiative. But these are really wonderful places that we can recreate, and all of those wetlands house wonderful things like frogs and insects, and we've got lots of birds and things, and so all of that could be destroyed by this pipeline. So if you
I could also mention, in terms of what Lois was asking, that universities and university labs are able to get grants for different research projects, but I think the issue with testing fracking related chemicals is that fracking fluid itself is not easily accessible, because the companies that use it keep those chemicals a very safe trade secret, mainly for the reason of not letting the public know what's in them. So access to the fracking related chemicals does not come easily. So if they were able to get a grant for that, they would also need to have access to the fluids in some way, and that would require getting access through an oil and gas company.
Yeah, that's a super good point, Jenna. Thank you so much for helping to answer that question. Okay, so if we go ahead to the next screen. All right, so we also have things like new infrastructure that's going to be coming down the pike this next year. And some of you may be thinking, new? Well, some of this stuff was proposed back in 2014 when Protect PT started. We actually started organizing December 2014 and became a nonprofit in April of 2015. And so, yeah, some of this stuff we have been fighting for a really, really long time. And the reason why, as you can see in the map, is because all of this stuff is super close to people. It's close to schools. It's close to playgrounds. We've got daycares listed on our map. You can actually find a copy of the map with all the different sites that are proposed here in Penn Township, as well as in Allegheny and Westmoreland County. Not just the well sites, but also we've got the Mariner East Pipeline on here, which you can see runs through Penn Township. We also have compressor stations, which Penn Township doesn't have any compressor stations right now, but that could be something that comes down the pike. And so these are things we want to look out for. And we work really hard every day to educate people about these different types of infrastructure so they can know what's going to happen and be informed about what's going to be in their backyard. So go ahead to the next screen, Corey. All right. We also do things like advocate for better protections. So there is a new federal rule that the EPA is trying to pass right now, and this rule would do a lot of different things. Not only would it cut methane, which is a greenhouse gas which impacts our climate and environment, it also can be harmful to humans because it's not just methane that's coming up, but also volatile organic compounds. And so this is actually a picture of me, and along with one of our partners, Shannon from Frac Tracker. We were with a bunch of folks there at the City County building in Pittsburgh, talking about how this EPA rule will cut methane. So it's really important to bring awareness about this. This is a super important thing because it would allow the states to better regulate the wells that are being proposed, as well as some wells that are built right now. So what it will do is it will ensure that when infrastructure ages, that the companies are responsible for making sure that infrastructure is not leaking. And if you go, so you can actually see this map right here. These are all the conventional wells in addition to the unconventional wells in Penn Township. So all those yellow dots are conventional wells. So we have this stuff all around us. It leaks, and it can be causing air pollution. It can be causing people to get sick. And so we want to make sure that this is all tightened up, not only to help the climate, but also to help people that live near this stuff. And if you go to the next screen, we actually went out recently with our partners at Earthworks. We were checking for methane leaks. And did we find them? Yes, we did. We were all around Plum trying to look for methane leaks. And sure enough, we found a bunch of them. And so these were methane leaks from, the wellhead coming out of the ground. And so we can do this. So Earthworks has this really awesome camera that takes images of the gas. It's a gas imaging camera. And so if you go to their YouTube after this, you can check out some of the sites should be on their YouTube that are local here, but they were kind enough to come out and check some of these sites for us. And sure enough, there were lots of leaks that we found and bad smells. And these are near where people recreate. The one was near Linton Elementary in Plum, and it was near the soccer field. So that is really problematic. Kids, when they're playing, don't need to be exposed to extra chemicals. And so this infrastructure is all around us, and we need to keep an eye on it. If you go ahead to the next screen. All right, Jenna, do you want to talk a little bit about our Radon Air program?
Sure. So we have a program with a radon monitoring company, and they are called EcoSense. And what they do is provide monitors in which they can be placed in your homes and let you know the amount of radon in your homes. So radon, as some of you may know, is a gas that generally comes from the ground, from the soils. And because our basements are below ground, what happens is that gas seeps into our basements here in the Western Pennsylvania area. Our soils specifically here have a larger amount of radon in them than most places in the US. So we are specifically worried about this area. And what happens when you breathe radon in large amounts is that it can cause lung issues. And radon is actually the second leading cause of lung cancer in the United States. So we're particularly worried about our residents breathing radon in. And so what we can offer you is one of our radon monitors that we have purchased through this company called EcoSense. And you can place that monitor in the lowest level of your house, which is usually your basement, and do about a month-long study. And you have an app on your phone that will tell you the actual levels of radon in your home. And we can also give you information to let you know what that means, what those levels mean. So if that is something that you're interested in and understanding how much radon is actually in your home and what you're being exposed to, you can reach out to us. There is a link here on this slide where it says sign up, but you can also find it on our Protect PT website under our programs.
Great. Yeah. Yeah. And this has been a really successful program. I want to say the last number, maybe 35 or more homes that we have tested for radon. So the great thing is Jenna and our environmental science team does a really wonderful job at educating people, so they know how to place the monitor in their home, and you can sign up online on our radon website, like Jenna said. So go ahead to the next screen. And Jenna, tell us a little bit about the air monitoring program as well.
Sure. We have 2 air monitoring pieces of equipment that can be placed outside your home. So if you are worried about your air quality near where you live, for example, if you are near a well pad or a landfill or a factory, you can let us know and we can come install a air pollution monitor at your home. We do have a monitor for particulate matter, which are little tiny particles that float in the air. Those particles can be put into the air from multiple different processes. That includes the ones that I've listed, such as oil and gas activity, landfill activity, or anything like trucks just driving up and down your road to get to those facilities. And also we have a sampler for volatile organic compounds, which are clear gases that you cannot see but you can smell. If you think of an example of a volatile organic compound or a VOC in your own home would be a very pungent cleaner that you use, or if you get a new piece of furniture and it has that new furniture smell, those are VOCs entering the air. That's what that is. And both PM and VOCs have the potential to be harmful for human health, mostly for pulmonary health, but also potentially cardiovascular health as well. So if you are interested in having one of these monitors outside your home, you can contact us and let us know. That's also available on our website. And we can bring one or both of those types of monitors out to your home. You just need an outdoor form of power so that we can plug those monitors in. But feel free to contact us if that is something that you're interested in.
Yeah, and we were really lucky enough to get an EPA grant to be able to get more monitoring equipment out there to some of the crucial sites that we've been working on. So sites like the Westmoreland Sanitary Landfill, the Menneson Coke Works, and the Plum Injection Well. So we'll be able to do some additional monitoring, as well as some potential chemical analysis of those VOCs. So we're really excited about that multi-year grant that we were able to get with the community air monitoring program, the EPA grant. So if you can go ahead to the next screen. This is just a great example of some of the folks that do work in our environmental science team. Jenna here, you can see she's placing a monitor in at a home, and Mary Grace is our environmental science assistant, and she's talking about monitoring at our open house that we had. So definitely check out our website for all of our monitoring. And if you could go ahead to the next screen, we can talk about really quickly the noise monitoring. And so, Jenna, why is noise monitoring important for people that live near shale gas?
Yeah, so noise is an issue around oil and gas production mainly because of the facilities that are placed and used for the production. So, for example, that could be multiple trucks driving up and down your road every single day, and how loud they are, and that produces noise that can be damaging. And then the actual production on the well site itself, such as the drilling rig, can be very, very loud, and a lot of our residents have complained multiple times about how loud that production actually is. So when you are exposed to levels of noise that you're not used to, it can actually be damaging to both your mental and physical health. You lose sleep, you lose productivity, and then that can result in other physical health effects as well. So if you do live near a one of these polluting activities, we can put a noise monitor in your yard and actually monitor the levels of noise that you're experiencing from those activities. And we can create reports of those to organizations such as the DEP and let them know what's going on, so that you can avoid that exposure to noise. So if you would like us to install one of those, please let us know.
All right. Okay, great. And if you go ahead to the next screen, Corey. All right, so this is so great example of some of the higher level noise that we see around well pads is, like Jenna said, truck traffic is very noisy, and it can be disruptive to your daily life, which can cause health impacts. This is what the noise monitor looks like. It's just a microphone on a stand, so it's not intrusive, and it can measure the decibels. We also ask people to write down the impacts to their daily life, because really it's not so much about the level of the noise, it's about how people are impacted by the noise, and everyone's going to have different experiences that will influence how they deal with this new type of industrial noise near their home. Again, as Jim was saying in the beginning of the presentation, this is a heavy industrial process. There's a lot of industrial stuff going on at the pad and around the pad. And so this is not something that people in rural and residential communities generally have to deal with, and so this is a real shock to people when they first hear the drilling, the grinding, and then the fracking can be really very loud as well. Folks around the Poseidon well pad have been complaining the last several months about noise there, as well as folks around the Metis and Gaia well pad when those were being drilled and fracked. So go ahead to the next screen. And last but not least, there is water sampling that we do. Jenna, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the streams that we've been monitoring?
Sure, we do monitor multiple streams and waterways around the Pittsburgh area, but one of them is the Plum Creek water system up in Plum. We do collect samples from there because there are multiple fracking injection wells around that area. So if you get that backup of water from the wells, that water can then go into the local waterways and pollute them. So we have been monitoring for those in the Plum area, and then we bring those samples to a local university lab. And what we are currently dealing with is a form of mine pollution in those streams. So we're actually seeing examples of how the abandoned mines in that area are polluting the streams in Plum. But we have investigated other water pollution issues in the past as well. So if you do feel like you might be seeing some form of water pollution, you can let us know. We can come out and sample. But that's what our program has been doing so far.
Awesome. And if you can go ahead to the next screen. Here are some pictures of some of the sampling we've done in the past. So up on the left-hand corner, we were actually sampling Brush Creek because there is a POTW. It's called a public it's a public system of water where they treat the water and then release it into the creek. And so we were looking for potential contaminants in the creek. And obviously the creek is very contaminated with that red acid mine drainage, as Jenna was talking about. Well, we were specifically looking for things like radiation that could be discharged, unexpectedly from some of these water treatment facilities where they're treating things like leachate, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And we also have our wonderful interns that help to go out and help monitor. So if you go ahead to the next screen, we also have a mobile app. If you see something in your neighborhood or experiencing impacts, we want you to tell us about it. So you can report that on our app. The app is just, you can do it from any phone, any tablet, anywhere, any computer, and you can report environmental harms in your community, as well as things like health impacts that you might be experiencing from those environmental harms. So go ahead to the next slide. We also do things like education. So Jenna and Jim and I just did a virtual workshop for the Home Resource Guide. This is a physical resource that we have chocked full of all the information we're giving you today, but on a more intense level. It has lots of resources from everything from complaint and compliance to state and local laws to emergency and evacuation preparedness for when you live around one of these sites. How do you get out of your home? What do you do? Who is going to help evacuate you? We also talk about air, water, and noise pollution. So that is an educational workshop that's a real staple of our program for education here at Protect PT. So go ahead to the next slide, Corey. And you can see actually this is one of the ways that we do the workshop. We do have virtual, but we also have in-person workshops. So check out for dates for that. We usually do those once a quarter. So go ahead to the next slide. And we talked a little bit about leachate, and the injection well, but we also work with oil and gas waste. There's a lot of misinformation out there about oil and gas waste and how it's transported and how it's regulated. So we work to talk about dispelling the myths of oil and gas waste. A lot of people don't know that this waste is highly toxic and radioactive and is on the streets every single day being transported by tanker trucks. We have seen permits or certificates for barging the waste from here to Ohio. And of course, right here in Plum, Allegheny County, there is a waste injection well. So there's a lot of pathways for contamination here. So we go ahead to the next screen. All right, and then we also do work around the municipal landfills, in particular the Westmoreland Sanitary Landfill, and how leachate and actually fracking, the fracking drilling cuttings have been contaminating the landfill for about a decade. And so the waste is contaminated with this toxic radioactive mixture, and so when it rains, it actually goes through those drill cuttings and goes into leachate ponds, and so therefore the leachate then becomes toxic and radioactive. So go ahead to the next screen. So we recently participated, you can actually see Jenna there testifying at the hearing for the landfill. One of the things that we've been working on for the last several years, the DEP is actually proposing to evaporate that leachate in the air, which we know that the air is already super contaminated because Jenna has been monitoring the air around the landfill. We've been actually monitoring it for several years, and it has very poor air quality. And part of that is due to the fact that it's in the Mon Valley, but a big part of that is due to the fact that it is near that landfill. And so we testified at the DEP hearing, so to testify against the DEP permitting this leachate contamination that they're proposing. So if you go ahead to the next screen. All right, this is the Sadat injection well. There's actually a new one being proposed Jim talked about this a little bit, so we're going to breeze through this because I want to make sure we have enough time for us to go over one of the really fun things that we do at Protect PT, which is the Reimagine Turtle Creek initiative. So if you go ahead to the next screen. All right. So, Shayna, if you want to take it away and talk about the Turtle Creek Initiative and what you have been working on.
All right, so the Reimagine Turtle Creek Watershed and Airshed Communities Plus, or TICWAC for short, is a community-led initiative to envision and implement sustainable community and economic development in the Turtle Creek Watershed and Airshed communities. And the ways we implement this vision is through monthly educational programs and our working groups. So Corey, you can go to the next slide. So in 2022, we held over 15 educational programs, including programs on food forests, herbs to calm the mind, foraging for food, which we have pictured here, and we will be ending the year with a hybrid yoga class on Monday, December 5th, and there is more info about that event, and that can be found on our reimagineticwac.org website under the events tab or on our Facebook page. And you can go to the next slide. So we currently have 3 active working groups. We have our Reimagine Food Systems program, which is our garden program. That's a local initiative dedicated to increasing community access to healthy, fresh produce through regenerative gardens. We have added 6 gardens to the 6 we installed and managed in 2021, meaning in total the program includes 12 households and 22 garden beds. Assuming that results are similar to those last year, approximately 36 families and 81 individuals have benefited from direct access to fresh produce in 2022. Just a few weeks ago, we graduated 6 gardeners from our garden program, and we plan to add 6 more gardeners to the program in 2023. You can go to the next slide. We have our Eco Mall project, and that's our project to reimagine the Monroeville Mall into a sustainable space. This fall, we actually had students from the University of Pittsburgh and Dr. Lucas's applied GIS class working with TICWAC to conduct research on malls in the area for their semester-long community-based project. Their presentation of results is actually this Thursday, December 1st, and we hope to use their research to present it to the Monroeville Mall owners and create a better argument for why a transition to a more sustainable mall is a good financial investment for them. And you can go to the next slide. And our last working group we have is our Native Urban Garden Stewardship Program. We launched this program this fall, and we will be conducting a pilot of the program in 2023. We received over 20 applications for this program, and it will provide materials, resources, and education to participants to help create a biodiverse network of backyard habitats to really connect people with the environment and the ecosystem. Next slide. And this year we received funding through the Mountain Watershed Association to throw our second year of our annual fundraiser, Get Down for Gardens. It was a huge success. It had 60 attendees and raised over $1,600 in direct donations, and we look forward to having this again in 2023. And that's it. So next slide.
Great. Thank you so much, Shayna. Thank you, Jenna and Jim, for talking about all of the work that we do here in the community. And we actually have for Giving Tuesday and for the end of the year, we have a special offer going on right now for people that want to give monthly to invest in your community and invest in the work that we do at Protect PT. You can give monthly. It can be as small as $5 a month that you could give. And you will get a free t-shirt. You can see some of our t-shirts that we have there pictured with our board chair and myself. We have lots of really great designs. You can look on our website. You can go to our donation page, and that will allow you to find out how to donate. We also, on our website, you can donate. You can become a sustaining member, which is what this monthly donation is. And, really today being Giving Tuesday, we want to make sure that we highlight that every dollar that folks give to us, really results in this direct work into the community. It results in this grassroots action that we can do, providing education, providing support, not only in our community, but other communities across southwestern PA, in Allegheny and Westmoreland County. And, we really are proud of the work that we do. We do some fun work like the Turtle Creek Watershed Initiative. We also do a lot of really difficult work like these new well pad infrastructures, the hearings and things that are going in. And so all of the things that we do, when you give to Protect PT, it's going to help benefit the community in multiple ways. So using that model to educate, empower, and engage folks to learn about how they can better take care of their environment and how we can help you do that. So I want to encourage everybody to go onto our website today and give. You can go onto the one on the screen or just to protectpt.org. There are lots of pages chock full of information for you. But if you go to the donation page and the membership page, you can become a sustaining member and get one of those free t-shirts. We also have some really great merchandise on our website. I'm actually wearing the baseball tee today with the Clean Air for All on it. So check out our merchandise, and that helps support our work as well. And we encourage you to give on Giving Tuesday. This only happens once a year. So we want to thank everybody for joining us today on our Lunch and Learn. I want to thank our staff for highlighting the work that they do every day, which supports the community. And we want to thank everybody, all of our members and our supporters, for joining us as well as for supporting us throughout the year. Thank you, everyone. If you'll go ahead to the next screen, we just have, so this is all of our information on the folks that work with Protect PT every day. And if you go to the next screen, I think we have the survey. So someone mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, what could we have a zoning officer on? And so if you have really great ideas like that about lunch and learns that you want to see in the future, go ahead and take our survey and let us know how to improve the lunch and learn, the event, and what kind of topics you'd like to discuss. And we will try to bring all of those topics to you in the future. So thanks so much, everybody. Have a great holiday season. Make sure you give today on Giving Tuesday. And we look forward to seeing you at our holiday party and in 2023. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great day. Bye.